Oh, didn't mean to have the camera going in the opposite direction. Welcome to another episode of Walking Chronicles. This time I actually got a hand thingamabobber. It's not a gimbal because it doesn't stabilize, but you get a better view of me, you know? If I wanted to, instead of all this in your face. I had a couple good topics and I just forgot them all. So I was thinking I was just going to ramble on. Love. I watch this guy on TikTok and he rambles about human psychology and how our preconceived notions are all messed up because we have one traumatic incident and everything goes, blown to smithereens, right? Pretty much. That's what he says. And then everything becomes red alert, analyzation of every move, sequence, reflection of chronological events, which then rewire our brains, our emotions. Then our emotions aren't really emotions. Now they're just actions of preemptive, moves and stuff like that. It's horrible. Horrible at this age. Ripe 43. You start to learn new classifications of emotions, new classifications of people's behavior. And then I start wondering, someone's behavior is textbook narcissist, textbook fearful avoidant / dismissive avoidant, textbook manipulator, textbook liar, textbook you should be in a loony bin. Okay, if you got all of that going on, you should not be walking the streets. You should be in a padded room getting yourself together. However, the person who is trying to deal with their ish on a daily basis, trying to be self-aware of what's going on, is just going through a rigorous quantitative analysis of what's wrong with them. When they crash out, you end up going in the loony bin. Because real crazy people are real geniuses. Not gonna lie. Kind of sad. Perturbing. And that's where love is lost. Love is lost. As we walk with Christ, all the things you want is to be more like Christ. Walk like Christ. One of the things they don't talk about is love like Christ. And it's crazy because we all say, I think, 2nd of Corinthians 8. Well, the love Bible verses, I think 2 Corinthians 8, 4-13 or something. I don't know. That I am ashamed of myself for not knowing that one because I carry it as my Bible cover. The love passage. Love doesn't envy, doesn't make you anger. Love is patient, love is kind. But are we? We are kind based on condition. We are patient based on condition. We don't anger based on condition. Are we in love? We beat ourselves up often We're hard on ourselves often. We get frustrated with ourselves often. Is it just me? Or am I walking towards a deer? Oh, wait. I got a new phone cover. Wait, let me. Okay. Should I be playing the saxophones? I don't know what this ninja's gonna do to me. Should I worry? Maybe he'll run off. Okay. So, going back to now, I don't even know if I love myself. I'm putting myself in a situation where my only walk of the day with the weighted vest is with a damn deer in the way. Oh. Oh, look. Oh. Started walking away. Oh, it walked away. Walked away. Scared. Obnoxious, and that's what happened because it probably loved itself more. It said, hell no, I'm not going to be in this situation with this crazy Puerto Rican chick who's talking crazy, talking to herself or into a camera, but we don't know. We don't know. But anyway. Oh, love. And then sometimes we don't know what we love. Because as I was trying to say, when we love people, we do it supposedly unconditionally, unconsciously, but somewhat based on condition. Then there is ourselves. We're supposed to love and take care of ourselves, but we mistreat ourselves, we mishandle ourselves, we abandon ourselves, when we get into certain relationships. And that's not love either. Bugs. So it's questionable if we as humans understand what love is, what is meant to love each other, to love oneself. And maybe it went down here. I don't know. I'm trying to see where this deer went. It didn't go straight. I don't know. But then there's the love of Jesus, where he knew everything, when it was happening, how it was happening, and stuff like that. And he really loved man. He really did. And with the creation, I have a low-key conspiracy theory that I'm going to expand on a Pastor Stephen Bohr. He's American/Venezuelan, I think. And he gives awesome sermons. I've been binge watching him because he has thrown out some enlightening points about God and creation and the Sabbath. And I think two things that are going on. Two, it is near the end of days. Okay? That's one. But two, his people is rushing to the mountains, as it says biblically, by like this newfound, maybe it's just me and social media, but everyone seems like they decided to touch grass now, from now on. Life is life, and life is not cutting it anymore. So they're going back to the basics, and they're hugging a tree, touching some grass, and going up a mountain. Well, with that said, how did this come about? Like, it's not an intuition just to, I'm gonna wake up and go hiking, right? Nope, it's not. So we got creation. This is what the pastor said, which makes sense. This is where we need to study the Bible more. And that's where I was gonna look into it, but how much God loves us, that He has ingrained habits into us. We didn't know. We didn't know. So 6 days, He created the world, created life, He created everything, and on the seventh day, He rested, and then He sanctified it. By then, He created Adam and Eve. But one of the points He made was, did they participate in the first Sabbath? And the Sabbath isn't for man, it was for God. And man is to worship God, and therefore that's why He holds Sabbath holy. So initially, Sabbath was not held, bestowed upon by man. Man did not participate on the first Sabbath. Because why? They didn't work. It was God. God worked. Duh. And that's why it was sanctified after the fact. I thought that was genius. I was like, wait a minute. That makes sense. He named the Sabbath the seventh day after 6 days of work. And after it was done, it was sanctified by God. So that when Adam and Eve worked the first 6 days, on the seventh, they sanctified, they had Sabbath in God's name. And, in terms of worship. So the next question was, what did God do on Sabbath with Adam and Eve? Since Adam and Eve didn't work, but God wasn't going to work on His day off, what did He do? And this was brilliant, and there has to be documentation, analysis somewhere that has to go in with this conspiracy theory. I'm going to call it conspiracy theory until I see this document elsewhere. That on the seventh day, God showed Adam and Eve the creations, His work that He had done for the last 6 days. Basically showing him Eden, showing him the beauty of what He's done. Oceans, trees, mountains, prairies, you name it, God made it. And that's what He was showing Adam and Eve. What if that imprint of memory, that imprint of action is ingrained in our beings? That after all is said and done, after all days we work hard for, on the Sabbath day, we go back to the basics and we reconnect with God through Genesis. I was saying it to be rhetorically funny nowadays. Oh yeah, I'm reconnecting with God through Genesis. Hiking, getting in touch with nature, seeing His Majesty's finest work, Let's look at the sky right now. Look at the sky. The colors, Look at all this greenery. Like, there's leaves that are not like bushes intertwined with each other. Not the same. Flowers that are coming out of nowhere. You might call them weeds, but they're technically flowers. They have meaning and purpose. You know? And what if all these hikers are really God's people? Going back to the basics. As imprinted in their DNA, not understanding that they are partaking in Genesis the way Adam and Eve partook with God on the first seventh day before he called it Sabbath. Can you believe that is love? That he would show us his artistry, his beauty, his things that he made, and we remember it somehow, some way. People have these weird intuitive spidey senses, into what we call discernment, intuition, things that happen in our brain where it feels like deja vu or premonition or blah, blah, blah. What if it's God writing the story and we are uncovering it page by page? Because remember, God knew all about us, all about our trials and tribulations and stuff. He wrote our story before we know the story. And what if in part of our story, and we might be going through healing, and some of us are healing not through the Bible, not knowing that, our connection to God, the Creator, the, universe, we're all energetically together. Look at the bunny. He's just not, oh shoot. He was like right there looking at me, and then I scared him off. I stopped, that's why. Can you imagine God giving us that gift of having an imprint in our souls that when we're tired, we're going through it, we're worn out, we're beaten up, to go back to Him, go back to the basics of God. A gentle reminder that He's always been there. He'll always be there because He loved us. He always loved us. No Bible verses. I don't have any at this moment. But go back to Genesis. Go back to the basics. Go back to what made you take that first walk into the forest, into the woods. What were you looking for? Clarity, peace. Maybe you were talking to yourself on your walk in the woods. You weren't talking to yourself, but you were talking. And hopefully someone was hearing. And in other words, praying. From my mouth to your ears, God. And maybe it's where we hike or take these walks. We feel the safest, unjudged, unbothered, torn away from everyday stuff. where we can have a little bit of clarity, where we find safety amongst, going through safety in hiking, going through the forest. Of course, we don't want to be eaten by leopards, mountain lions, bears, oh my. But at the same time, humans are pretty scary, right? And I joke, I want to meet the bear, because humans are hurtful. They hurt people quicker than anybody else, right? So that's what maybe the hiking is a step closer to God, because even if you meet a bear, motorcyclist, you give them a nod, recognize or acknowledge, Not sure what the hell he was paying attention to him. In a weighted vest, not looking cute. Tired AF. But maybe that's it. We reconnect with God somehow, some way, and even if we did meet the bear, we die. Well, if you had faith in God, you die. But technically, the dead don't know anything. You are asleep, technically. So, and as long as you have faith in God, you'll see Him once He comes again. It's like coming. And maybe God wants everybody to start hiking because the time has come to start believing and making yourself right with God. And I don't know about you, but from what I see and what I hear, when people hike, and this including myself, it gets quiet. And it's not the scary type of quiet in which you feel unsafe. It's the quiet that you kind of need. Because if you were asking to hear from God, you could hear Him. And I'm not saying that God literally speaks to people, but He communicates. And I wish I understood Him better. Because sometimes I be misunderstanding all His messages. Twice I heard Him clearly. He actually spelled it out. One time He said, "Not yet. It's not your time." And the other time I heard Him say clearly, "Leave him." When I heard "leave him," it took me 3 years too long to leave him. When I heard Him the very first time, I never touched a can of aerosol again. I think maybe one time, but I never used it for inappropriately. So right now, I've had several dreams, and I thought they were messages of, what could be, what is, what was. And misinterpreted all the dreams And I think as my new dreams are coming through, I want to believe that it's not what ChatGPT tells me that it is, you know. You know what love is? God, right now, if you could do me a favor, not have bugs chew on me anymore. And I'm talking about mosquitoes. They love me. I hate them. Don't like it. So that's how I'm feeling about love, on this walk. And speaking of love with humans, oh man, there's a work assignment I got. The first time I did it, it was detrimental because I took survivor claims, meaning that their loved one had passed away and potentially they were eligible for cash, right? All these relationships, 40, 50, one got to 70 years, 73. Did not realize both of them were born in 1933. One was born in 1933, 1934. And they got married in 1955, and I was like, oh, okay. And then the guy had passed away. But the woman was talking to me, she was full of life, and her faculties were all together. I would have not thought she was 90 something years old. She missed him. And luckily I heard a voice of a child, an adult child, helping her out. That touched me. Then there was a guy married to a lady 50 years. They bought a farmhouse together. He renovated it. He was renovating it. It wasn't much. That's what they wanted. And now she's gone. And he was pretty angry how he feels that the world and the system and society, set him up and set up his wife. And the doctor set up his wife. She was overweight and she started taking these extreme weight loss stuff. And she had lost 200 pounds. She was 300. She had type 2 diabetes and she lost all this weight to the point where her muscles deteriorated and she was just on a liquid diet. And then she got sick. And then they blamed one condition. Now, knowing the moment you have diabetes, you're pretty much a goner because anything and everything goes. But I let him speak because I took care of him 45 minutes of him telling stories. And I tried to interrupt him. And here's a love story. It's not any. But he said, I'm sorry I keep rambling on, but my wife would have told me shut up by now. I miss her. Even when she told me to shut up. Now I miss her. Her telling me to be quiet. I don't have that anymore. And I was like, oh, crap. That sucks. Because now he just doesn't have anything Like she says, I gotta learn everything. Things that she used to take care of, you know? And now I gotta learn it. But every time I learn something new, I remember her. And I feel bad. It's 50 years. Here I am, at my age. If I was to get married tomorrow, if I could get 30 years in, that'd be nice. Shoot, I wish I could go past 10 years. I can't even get married and be in a relationship for 10 years. I think 8 was the longest. We were only married less than 2. So, and I'm not saying that marriage is an easy love story. It's not. But I wish someone chose me every day like they chose each other every day. Just like God chooses me every day. I try to be a better human every day. Like I try to choose Him every day. So I can accept His love and His Spirit and His blessings every day. I try every day. Love. Not an easy action. Very difficult. Very deep. But I wish there was more of it. I guess as I climb more mountains and hike to more places, maybe I'll fall in love more. As I sleep more with my dog than with a human, maybe I'll learn more about love. I wish love was more than just physical connection. I wish it was more than just a warm embrace. Because now it seems that people can give those out and it has no meaning. Holy shit. Excuse my French, but that part right there is a difficult pill to swallow. Can you imagine? You're going out there in the world with good intentions, pure intentions, being genuine, being sincere about who you are, authentic. And people are out there giving out what seems to be true and genuine, physical, tangible things. And it really means nothing. They just want the access, the make-believe. Why? Because the real thing actually requires work. It needs to be chosen. Little do they understand that we go through life making mistakes to learn from them, but we don't make the next person pay for it. And it seems sometimes people don't learn that lesson, that the next person should be a clean slate. You know, you don't know their story, you don't know them. And now all you do is receive fakes. How crazy is that? That people are that fake. People don't believe in love anymore. Love are what we feel on pages, written pages. Romance novels, you know? The idea of being chosen, idea of longing, yearned for, yearning, and then becoming one together, explosive chemistry of hormones, fluids, and feelings, under one God, indivisible, invisible to everyone. But not for one day, but for a lifetime. Call me a romantic. Call me old school. Call me traditional. Oh, I'm beautiful, Deb. You will meet someone. No, beautiful will get me in bed with someone. It makes me desirable. It doesn't make them fall in love with me. I could be kind-hearted and genuine and sweet and pour myself into them because I'm everybody's cheerleader. But that doesn't mean they'll love me either. At one point I thought that I was seen. Nope. I might have heard them wrong. They saw enough of me to understand how I was, but I definitely let them know how I felt. And that's when you show someone you care, it repels like flies. Like flies. So where do you go to heal your heart? Go to hiking. Go back to Genesis. Go back to the basics, where it was just man, well, Adam and Eve and God, showing the fruits of everything. It makes all sense because he loved us. God loved us from the very, very beginning. Trying to be happy with this post, but let's be real. When you see the love in the Bible, it's beautiful too. You got love stories, the love for Jesus, the perfume oil on his feet, and washed with the hair, the breaking of the bread, the Last Supper. You got the story of Esther. I mean, it's not so much of a love story, but there is love in there for her people. Ruth and Boaz. There's love. Well, I have overextended by half an hour. I don't want to bore you guys with the last couple more minutes. I'm almost home on this walk. But I hope love finds you. I hope that God fills your heart with love. That it's okay to not have anybody in this time and this world, because at this point it's rough in these streets. But I hope your heart is full of love. The one that God carried for us. That you walk like Christ. And because if you do, he was all about love. Love every day. Hug. Live, laugh, love every day. Well, on that note, it's getting dark. Toodles, my friend. I will make it home. There's no bears behind me. There's no... So, I'm okay for now. Bye!